Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 1 to 10.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं चाभयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाताः येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति.
So we studied so far how everything comes from the self. Everything is the result, all the misapprehensions are the result of the non-apprehension. So therefore, everything comes from that transcendental reality. We were on the 4th and 5th verses. Buddhi, intellect. Vedanta has to start with intellect, no? So buddhi, intellect, jnana, knowledge. Buddhi is our faculty of discrimination for a human being. It is the single most important thing. If you lose anything in this world, there is hope. But when you lose your buddhi, then there is no hope at all. You can go through any kind of loss and you may be able to retrieve yourself from that loss. But if you lose your buddhi, then nothing is. Then what are your options after that? So buddhi is the capacity for discrimination. This must be clearly understood. When you say I have a good buddhi, what does that even mean? That means your capacity to discriminate is excellent. Discrimination is the capacity to tell two things apart. So can you tell, for instance, what is in your welfare and what is not in your welfare? Can you tell, for instance, what is only a temporary pleasure and what is a lasting pleasure? Can you tell this? Can you tell whether you have enough wealth or not? Can you answer that question? Otherwise, no matter what wealth you have, is never enough. The richest to the poorest, everyone believes they don't have wealth. So how do you know whether you have enough wealth or not? Your buddhi has to tell you. Your intellect has to tell you. Now, how will the buddhi know? By what yardstick will the intellect know whether you have enough wealth or not? It's quite simple. If you have more desires than money, you're a poor person. And if you have less desires than your assets, you're a rich person. Isn't that the simplest thing in the world? So if I ask you this question, is Bill Gates a rich man? Your answer is?
No, he is not.
It depends
Depends
on what Bill Gates
Depends on his desires.
thinks.
We don't know.
Yeah, very good. We don't know whether Bill Gates is a rich man or not. If his desires exceed his assets, he's a poor man. What about the man staying on the street, the homeless person? Recently, as part of some endeavor, we had all gone to give blankets to the poor homeless people on the streets. Quite an experience, really, to give these blankets to the homeless. And some of the people, all sorts of people you meet, some of them grab and pull and start almost mob violence. Some of them sort of greet you as if you have come to their house and almost tell you to sit down and have a cup of tea. They're so dignified about it. Very, very interesting. So this homeless lady, she lives in a particular place and she has a couple of children, 2-3 children, a husband, and they are living under that tree. And they seem to be doing quite well by their own. They talk to you as if you have come to their house like a guest. And they're very grateful. Oh, you brought us a nice thing. Thank you very much. Very, very grateful. How are you? Like as a normal conversation going on. It was so interesting. Different types of people. So there are some people on the street. They grab, they pull, they must tear your clothes in this attempt. There are some people on the street who treat you like just an honored guest. I mean, like how you treat anyone who came to your house and brought you some nice present. So you could be homeless, you could be on the street, but you could be a rich person, cultured person. Or you can be living in a mansion and be a poor person indeed. Or you could be living on the street and be poor. Nothing to do with what you have. It is to do with, is your wealth more than your desire? It needs an intellect to be able to understand. We claim to love people. It's an intellect that can tell us, is this love or is it attachment? We identify things wrongly. We identify ignorance as knowledge. We identify attachment as love. We identify poverty as wealth. Now, if we do this, what hope is there? There's no buddhi only. What hope is there? So what is buddhi? The capacity to discriminate. The capacity to understand. Just simply understand what's going on. That's it. Nothing very complicated. I say, oh, I understand all this, but I'm not able to do. That means you don't understand. There's no such thing. I understand, but I can't do. If you can't do, you haven't understood. You better improve the understanding. Don't worry about the doing. If you're identifying something as pleasure when it is actually pain, obviously you will not be able to restrict yourself from that pleasure. Obviously. Because to you it is pleasure. Buddhi is not functional. So, first quality of a human being, of a Vedantin, we don't see the difference between these two things. If you're a human being, you're a Vedantin. If you're a Vedantin, you'll be a human being. If first quality of a human, Buddhi. The second quality, Jnanam. Now, Jnanam is another very complicated thing. What is knowledge? Suppose you take it. What will you take it as? How do you even determine whether a knowledge is correct knowledge or wrong knowledge? How do you know this? Frankly, you don't. How do you know it? You may believe something with all your heart and be wrong. You may reject something and that may be true. How do you even know whether you're rejecting or accepting correctly? So, Vedanta has given a very nice definition of knowledge. The definition of knowledge as given in the scriptures is thought enlivened by pure consciousness. Thought enlivened by pure consciousness. Any thought enlivened by consciousness. Consciousness is always there. Whenever a thought pops up, that is knowledge. That is that being's knowledge. So what is knowledge? Pure consciousness plus thought. When you're conscious of any thought, knowledge. Just as what is, suppose I hold up an object, okay? Let's say I hold up this hanky over here. You can see it? A hanky. And I hold up this hanky and ask you, what is the formula for this hanky? What will you say? I mean, in terms of science. So here's a hanky. How are you seeing this hanky? You're seeing this because the hanky is there and there is light there. If I remove it, light is there, hanky is not there. No hanky as far as you're concerned. Put it back. Then there's a hanky and there is light. So the formula for this hanky, the scene, is the hanky plus the light. Clear? The hanky, the object, plus the light is equal to the scene. When we transact in the world, we say, here's a hanky, we miss the light. Right? We never talk about the light. We say, well, I ask you, what is this? Well, it's a handkerchief. Very simple. But you cannot see that handkerchief. You cannot know it unless the light is there. So object plus light is equal to the scene. So if I ask you now, what is light? What will it be?
Knowledge. No?
The self.
Consciousness.
The self.
Oh, come on,
Consciousness.
I'm talking mathematics here. Object plus light is equal to scene. Omkar, are you there? I never know who the Omkar, is that you? Can you please write on the screen? Object plus light is equal to scene.
Janki ji, Omkar not here. This is Deepak.
Oh,
handling
okay. All right. Okay, Deepak, can you please write that? You know how to do this?
it. Haven't tried it
Okay.
yet, but we'll give it a shot.
I can write it if you want.
Okay, write it. Give Uttara share screen and then she'll write it for us. Or you can just do a simple thing, write it on a sheet of paper and hold it up. Whatever. Or you all can all write for yourself. Can you write this formula? Object plus light is equal to scene. Object plus light is equal to scene. Very good. Now I ask you, can you tell me what is scene, what is light equal to?
Light is thought.
Look at this. Don't write.
Scene
write.
minus object.
Very good. Come on. Scene minus object. Correct? Got it? So you don't know what light is. You can't see light. But what do you understand? That this seen object minus the light, minus this object, sorry, this seen object minus this object is the light. Get it? Are you all clear up to this point? Anybody has a problem up to this point? Okay, so what is an object? What is an object? It is this object plus light. And that's how you see it. Correct? Now, if I ask you what is light, because you can't see light, you can see the object. What you are seeing is a combination of light and object. Correct? Now, I'm asking what is light? What will you say? The scene minus the object is light. All right. Now, what is knowledge? Knowledge is equal to, can you write Uttara? Knowledge is equal to thought plus consciousness. Uttara, you have to show me how you do this. This is so convenient. Okay. Now, knowledge is equal to thought plus consciousness. Now I ask you, what is consciousness? Consciousness is equal to
Light. Is knowledge.
What, you are not paying attention?
Thought minus
Thought
knowledge.
minus knowledge.
Knowledge.
Very good. What?
Knowledge minus thought.
Yeah. Knowledge minus thought. Correct. Sorry. Knowledge minus thought. This is clear, no? Now he says, I am knowledge, meaning from your knowledge, if you were to remove the thoughts, what remains is pure consciousness. How simple is that? At least theoretically. Remove the thought and what remains is pure consciousness. Pure knowledge, whatever you want to call it. Now, you will understand that if this thought gets disturbed, knowledge, you remember that Uttara, that trough of water?
Yes, I do.
Can you draw it? Can you draw the trough of water?
Sure, sure.
Okay, make some water in it. Oops, you made wavy lines. Okay, so if these thoughts, okay, this water is the thoughts. Now draw a ray of light hitting this. A ray of light hits the water. Draw a V figure on top of the water. Yeah, good. And now draw another one. Very good. So the first arc is pure consciousness. The first light that hits the water is pure consciousness. That's pure consciousness. Very good. Now write PC where you've shown the arrow going down. I don't know whether you should draw that line because it's confusing. Removing is this third arrow which you have done. Yeah, okay, thanks. So pure consciousness or light hits the trough of water, and what you get is a reflected light. This you know, right? In life, what happens? It hits water and then it gets reflected. So whatever image is there gets reflected. Correct? Now, if you assume that first light, first ray to be pure consciousness, it hits the water, and then what happens? When that water is still, the image is clear. But when the water is all halchal, it's all moving around, it's all agitated, then the reflected image is also agitated. Suppose, let us say, you're seeing the image of the sun in some water, okay, and then it sort of reflects back and shows a light somewhere. Now, when that water is still, whatever the image is reflected will be very still. You'll see the full and proper image. But when that water is agitated, you see a moving image, you see a messy image. Sometimes you don't know what that image is. Now you understand how your thoughts prevent you from knowledge. When the thoughts are still, you clearly understand what is going on. But when the thoughts are agitated, the image is agitated. So much sometimes that you cannot even tell what the image is. And that is why many of us cannot see things for what they are. So he says, Jnana comes from me. Comes from me means what? Unless pure consciousness is there, how are you going to have any knowledge? So this reflected light is knowledge. So pure consciousness hits the trough of water and the arrow going out, that's knowledge. Yeah, right? Knowledge there. The arrow going out. Yeah. Okay. Got it, everyone? Are you all clear about this? Anybody has any problems? You can look at it for a second.
So knowledge is a reflection.
Yeah. Knowledge is a reflection in the sense knowledge is equal to thought plus consciousness. It's a combination that gives you whatever you have. So pure consciousness is always straight, always proper. But the thoughts are getting all worked up. And therefore our knowledge is being affected.
So can I write in that water as thoughts?
Sorry?
The water
Yes,
is
the
thought.
water is thoughts. That's right.
Okay.
And the trough is the mind?
Yeah, you can say that. But the important part is pure consciousness is steady. The thoughts are wavy. Knowledge is wavy. Your consciousness is steady. Thoughts are steady. Knowledge will be steady.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, 1 second, Salil. I'll just see what Rajneesh is saying. How to develop consciousness. You don't develop consciousness, Rajneesh. Consciousness you are. What you have to do is remove the thoughts. How you remove the thoughts is by having higher thoughts. As long as you keep to the lower thoughts, they will multiply and they will agitate. So you have higher thoughts, better thoughts, nobler thoughts. For that you require knowledge. So as the knowledge seeps in, the thoughts, knowledge means knowledge of Vedanta, it seeps in, the thoughts cool down, and first cool down and then keep reducing, reducing, reducing. And when the trough is empty, all that remains is pure consciousness. So you don't develop consciousness, you develop the intellect and remove thoughts. And then what remains is consciousness.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Salil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I refer to one of the classes we had previously is on vasanas. And I had raised a question regarding where inventions or innovative ideas come from. And you had said that these are also from vasanas. So then when you say vasanas, then I think for innovation or new ideas, consciousness is also required.
What do you mean? What do you mean consciousness is required? How can you, are you suggesting that God gives you innovations? I don't understand what you mean by consciousness is required.
Hello?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So when you say knowledge is equal to thought plus consciousness, I assume knowledge also includes.
Can't hear you, Salil. Why don't you write your question in the chat box? I'll come to it. But yes, I mean, any thought, for you to know any thought requires consciousness. That's a given. Innovative or old, the kind of thought doesn't matter at all. Whatever the thought is, it has to be enlivened by consciousness. In other words, whatever the object is, if you have to see it, it has to have light. Otherwise, you can't see it. So when I say, what is this? It is a hanky plus light. If I say, what is this? Then it is a glass plus light. And I say, what is this? Then you'll say it's a paper plus light. Light is common, otherwise you can't see. So similarly, pure consciousness is common. Nothing to do with whether it's what type of thought, good thought, bad thought, innovative thought, boring thought, whatever. All that doesn't matter.
What I meant was, what is the role of vasanas in this process?
Vasanas you don't bring in over here. Vasanas is the root of thought. Don't complicate an already complicated idea. Vasanas you understand is root of thought. Now you put that aside because vasanas you can't understand anyway. You can't discuss vasanas. What you can discuss is thoughts. So forget about vasanas for now and just say pure consciousness plus thought is equal to knowledge.
Okay, I need to contemplate upon that, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Everybody else is at least clear about knowledge. Buddhi jnanam. Asammoha. Clear so far, everyone? Any problems? Only with this, okay? Don't go anywhere else. Then, asammoha, non-illusion. What is non-illusion? How can you not be an illusion if you're on this planet Earth? If you are on the planet Earth, you will have to be an illusion. Otherwise, you will not believe yourself to be on planet Earth. So what does it mean, non-illusion? It means you never lost sight of that final goal. You never lost sight of it. That in our context is non-illusion. Because otherwise everything is illusion. What are you talking about? So sammoha. Asammoha, sorry. No illusion. Moha, delusion. Sammoha, total delusion. And asammoha, no delusion. So as long as you're here, you're deluded. That's a given. So who is asammoha? The person who never forgot the mission of his existence. He never forgot. No matter what happened, whatever the ups and downs, what happened today. There's a beautiful movie. I don't know when, we never showed that movie eventually, but we should one day. That called Random Harvest. Beautiful movie. If you ever get to see it, do. Otherwise, we will have a viewing. And he has forgotten. He's lost his memory. That chap has lost his memory. But he has a key. He doesn't know what that key is. He knows something is missing and he knows he has a key. That's all he knows. And that key he keeps in his waist pocket. Whether he is in his business, then he becomes a politician, then he's in his enjoyments. Every now and then he takes out that key and looks at it because he knows this is something. As he goes up in life, as all these things happen, all these wonderful things, he gets married, all things happen. It's always fiddling with that key. It's depictive of the spiritual path. No matter what's going on, one part of your mind is always attuned to that final. It's always there. You never lost it. That is called asammoha. Shama. Shama, forgiveness, is the beautiful quality that results out of a simple comprehension. And that comprehension is vasana, thought, desire, action. If you understand this much, you will be a very, very forgiving person. It's not so complicated, no? Every being has its vasanas. Every being. And helplessly, every being works according to his vasanas. Helplessly. That famous story, of the scorpion. So scorpion fell into the water. And a sage was going by. And he saw the scorpion is struggling. He'll drown in that water. He picked up the scorpion. And the scorpion stung him. So in pain, he was in so much pain, he dropped the scorpion. So again, they were the scorpion was in the water. And then he saw the scorpion is drowning. So again, the sage picked him up in his other hand. So this, again, the scorpion stung him. Again, in that pain, he dropped the scorpion. And he kept doing that. So passerby said, "Tu to pagal aadmi hai. Why are you going on picking up the scorpion? Huh? It's stinging you. It's not appreciative of the fact that you are helping it. Why are you helping? It will sting you." He says, what can the poor scorpion do? That is his nature. Obviously, he will sting. So that man said, "Bilkul hi pagal hai. You know that the scorpion will sting, so fir kyun utha rahe ho? Why are you picking it up? Don't pick it up." He says, what can I do? That's my nature. Every being functions by his vasana. So you understand it about your others, you understand it about yourself. Then what? Ka moha ko shoka. As Isavasya Upanishad says, ka moha ka shoka. What is the moha and what is the shoka? What is the delusion and what is the sorrow? Everybody will do what he or she is doing. This is a fact of our life. And we will also do whatever we are doing. So the same forgiveness we give others, we give ourselves as well. What to do? Those vasanas are there. I will do this. What am I criticizing? Anybody else, or what am I criticizing myself? This is not meant to make us passive. This is an important thing to understand. Doesn't mean we accept everything and we leave it the way it is. No, first you please understand this is the way it is. Now, having seen the way it is, now you do decide what you want to do. That is up to you. We have to know that the past exists. This is where the past has brought me. This is where it is now. Now what do I want to do? I have a choice. Oh, what am I saying about vasanas? That is all the past. The past makes it what it is. But the future is also dependent on what I do. So it's not a passivity that we employ saying, oh, wo aisa hi hai, ab aise hi hone do. That's not what it means. What it means is, वो ऐसा है और वो मुझे कबूल है. It's fine with me that it is the way it is. From now on, I will work for whatever. And if I know what it is, I will know how to deal with it. If I don't know what it is, I will keep breaking my head on it. I would like to go to a hot-tempered person and say, don't lose your temper. If he's hot-tempered, how can he not lose his temper? I must endeavor to not get on that side of him. What is the use of telling him not to lose his temper? He will be what he is. The tiger will be what he is. Now, I don't need to go pet the tiger and say, oh, with so much love, I came to pet you and you ate my hand up. Please look at it from the tiger's point of view. If you get a nice fresh gajar, you will eat it, no? He got a nice fresh aam, he ate it. From his point of view, it's like, what else would I do? I mean, normally I get all this dead meat in this zoo. Today, a nice fresh one I got. Nice, nice. Wouldn't you like it also? Suppose every day you have to get only stale food. One day somebody gives you nice fresh food. Look at it from his point of view. He did what was the most obvious thing. What else will he do? When you understand it like that, you actually find it all very funny in life. Isn't it? Even in class, when you understand it, you start finding the whole thing funny. Because people really do what their vasanas are. It's like, oh. So it becomes so predictable. Everybody is so predictable. And if they do something unusual, then you have to stop and say, what happened? Suppose I come home late and my spouse says, what is this? You're all the time late. Every time you come home late. Every time I walk into the house, I start getting a lecture on how late I am. And then one day, I walk into the house and I don't get any lecture. In fact, I get offered a cup of tea. Then what do I have to say? Good Lord, what happened? Did I enter the neighbor's house by mistake? Something is terrible over here. I came in fully expecting अच्छा lecture मिलेगा. कुछ नहीं हुआ. Then you check temperature ठीक है क्या? Something is wrong. What happened here? Isn't it? So simple. Shama. And people make such a big deal of Shama. My God, I have to forgive. I cannot forgive. Don't forgive. Stew in your own juice. You have the option of finding it funny, or you have the option of stewing in your own juice. You choose what you want to do. Your life, your call. Simple logic tells us that as the vasana, so the action. What is the difficulty? If all, oh my God, I said vasana, cellulite. No, I shouldn't have said that. If all action thought has source in vasanas, does it mean we can't create new vasanas in this life by action thought independent of past vasanas? No, Salil, it doesn't mean that. We can create and we can create and we can create, and that is what human beings do. We just keep on creating more and more and more. We jump from one vasana to another vasana. We keep doing that. The great advantage animals have over us is that they don't have the ability to increase their vasanas. So what they can do is only exhaust. They can't increase. Like a tiger cannot try a new cuisine and then fall in love with it. Tiger can't do all this. The same thing he will eat every day for his whole life. The same wildebeest he will be eating. He cannot create any vasanas. All he can do is exhaust what he has. So,
Janki ji, may I?
Yeah, 1 second, Antara. So, Salil, yes, the answer is a human being can create vasanas. Nobody else can create vasanas. Only human beings.
So I'm a little bit confused. I mean, you obviously said that all our actions or thoughts are a result of our vasanas, which means these are past impressions. So how do we do any new action which is not dependent upon our past impression when every action is being governed by past impression? That was what I wanted to ask.
I don't know whether I should give you a true answer or a false answer. If I give you a false answer, we'll move on to the next point. If I give you the correct answer, this is the end of the class. So I'm going to take a compromise. I'm going to tell you the true answer. So just tell you the false answer and then we move on. Very simple. The false answer is as follows. That vasana creates thought. Thought creates desire. Desire creates action, and action creates vasana. It's like a loop that you form. Are you satisfied with this answer?
Not really.
Why not?
So, I mean, when some effect is a result of a cause, then that effect, how can it create a new cause?
Like a seed in a tree. The tree creates the seed creates a tree.
Can I have the true answer?
No, you can't have the true answer because you figure out what's wrong with this answer. What is wrong? I told you, no? You shouldn't get a true answer until that's how Vedanta is taught, actually. You give the false answer and then you wait till the person figures out it's a false answer. And then once he's figured out such false answer, then he can understand what the true answer is. So you figure out what was wrong with this answer. Like a tree tree creates seed creates tree, chicken creates egg creates chicken. What's the problem?
Okay, I need to think about it.
Okay, I'll tell you. Since I did a very silly thing by telling you it's a false answer, I guess now I'm forced to tell you the truthful one. I'm just going to answer it, no questions on it, okay? That's our deal?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is as follows. Besides vasanas, a human being has another ability known as purushartha. So in your chart, really, it is Atman, Purushartha, Vasanas. And Vasanas then manifest as the body, mind, and intellect. Now, Vasanas are the result of all that has happened in the past. Purushartha is a subtler ability that only a human being possesses, which is the ability to choose fresh today, regardless of those vasanas. The vasanas are the pull from the past. The purushartha is an ability, it's just an ability, okay, one ability that a human being has. It's not something, it's an ability that a human being has, which is the capacity to choose. So this is just an ability. Now, when you have a bulk of vasanas, even though you are choosing not to go in that direction, the bulk of vasanas will continue to push you in that direction. But if you keep on exerting your purushartha not to, then one day the purushartha, being subtler than the vasanas, will turn the course of your life. Now, nowhere have we yet come to this concept of purushartha, so you will not understand it. It is not an easy concept. You have to study a lot of Vedanta before you come to Purushartha. Most people understand Purushartha and by the word effort. It's not an effort, it's a choice. Purushartha is considered to be effort because in the vernacular languages, Purushartha, the word means effort. So in Vedanta, we translate it as self-effort.
Is it what we call free will?
Yes, it is correct. The other word is free will, correct. Now, no further thing we'll take on that because it's a very complicated issue. We'll do it when in the right time when we do it in Vedanta treatise. If you have some interest in understanding it, there is a video on YouTube. I don't exactly know what the name is, but you can listen to it. I recommend that you don't listen to it, but you could listen to it if you want to.
Destiny versus free will.
Oh, destiny versus free will. Okay. Thank you, Bharat. Or I'm not sure. Thank you or not. Okay. Destiny versus free will. It's complicated. You'll have to listen to it. a few times before you can sort of grasp what it's talking. Destiny versus free will. Destiny is too complicated. It's a full 1 hour explanation if you go into that. Okay, Salil, are you somewhat satisfied?
Yes, Janki ji. Just in a lighter vein, they say that your height is your destiny, but your weight is your free will.
Okay. Yes, okay, you can say that. Though, of course, if you have vasanas for food, I don't know what you will do. How to keep thoughts, consciousness steady. How to keep thoughts, consciousness. Swapnil, you don't keep consciousness steady. It is steady of its own nature. How do you keep thoughts steady? Because of the power of your intellect. Your intellect has the capacity to both soothe the waters as well as reduce the waters. But you have to develop that. Okay, Swapnil?
Yeah, got it.
Yes, Uttara.
Jankiji, you said about the animals that they don't create vasanas. So you gave an example of cuisine. So the tiger doesn't go for choosing a cuisine or something. But my own experience says that if they come in the contact with the human beings, they do have this choices in cuisines also. Because it's my own experience that when you feed a cow, they prefer the carrots being fed rather than the green grass. They actually show their preference because they avoid eating the grass. You think they are not hungry, but then when you feed carrots, they hungrily eat it. So what does that show?
That shows the effect of human beings. That's all it shows.
That's
Human
all.
beings can go and mess up anything, anywhere, anytime. Do you even know that our space was empty? It's an empty space. I mean, there's really nothing very much in space. It's mostly empty. The mass is very little. What did human beings do? They went up there and threw so much debris that now it's becoming difficult for anyone else to go there. Exactly like what we do on the mountains. So if I say mountains are clean, then you can say, oh, but I saw so much dirt when I went there. Human beings have been there. Wherever human beings go, they have the capacity to mess up. They have the capacity to make it good also, but these two capacities are two sides of a coin. So yes, when animals come in contact with human beings, we can go and mess up their system. In the forest, you'll never see a fat animal. But in a human being's home, you'll see a fat animal. Often see, in fact. Okay, so Momita, nothing to forgive or justify. It actually is freeing and effort promoting. Yes, Momita, that's correct. If you understand it correctly, you will understand that you created the vasanas and you can create other vasanas. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. Jyoti, would it be right to say that the aim is to get rid of all thoughts until we have only one thought? No, Jyoti, that is not correct. The correct thing is
To have a higher thought. Work towards a higher thought.
okay, you can say that, but correct this statement. That's another statement.
Exhaust vasanas through your karma yoga, maybe.
No, don't tell the whole philosophy. Just correct this. Would it be right to say that the aim is to get rid of all thoughts until we have only one thought?
No,
Just
the
correct
aim
it.
is
Huh?
the aim is to be thoughtless.
Very good. So, but you correct this. Now, would it be right to say that the aim is to get rid of all thoughts until we have only one thought? No,
So it is self-realization.
the aim is to get rid of all thoughts, full stop. Where did this one thought come from? The aim is to get rid of all thoughts, full stop.
Jankiji,
Yeah.
when you said that animals they exhaust their vasanas, it's a little confusing. So they're exhausting their vasanas, unlike human beings who are increasing the vasanas. Then I'm a bit confused. Wouldn't it constantly, if they keep exhausting their vasanas, then
Who keeps? No, animals are constantly exhausting. Human beings have the capacity to exhaust and to create.
so
But
animals are not creating.
no, they don't have any capacity to do so.
So if they're exhausting the vasanas, aren't they in a better space?
Yeah, of course.
Then they don't have the intellect to basically
No desire written action.
What do they need an intellect for? They don't need an intellect. The question of intellect only arises when choice comes.
no, in the path of self-realization, like if the goal is to exhaust the vasanas,
Yeah,
so
they will only exhaust. They cannot create. Human beings can have a choice, so they can create, they can exhaust. But are you there in VFC or not?
no.
Okay, so please, everybody, you have to do VFC. Otherwise, there's just total confusion everywhere. But I know, of course, Aditi, you're studying, so you will come to it somewhere in your course. But better if you do the VFC. Not Aditi, everybody, please do it so that at least the basics are all clear. I hope the basics are clear to the I say all these things. Those who are doing VFC, are you finding the basics getting clear for you and therefore life in Vedanta becoming easier? Please let me know.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it is happening.
Yes, ma'am, but sometimes it just goes over the top.
It goes over the top. Okay.
Some topics go over the top. It's really tough to comprehend. But when you think about it and ponder, thoda samajh mein aane lagta hai.
And you
But
have a
yes,
forum to ask questions, whatever is not understood.
And we have some people very nicely and kindly putting together the whole thing with questions and with their own, and that's very nice. That's very helpful.
Okay, so I hope this is actually working, and you're all saying yes. I hope it is not a natural bias, and that you are really getting a hang of the stuff. So, Aditi, coming back to your question, there are two types of asanas for comprehension. Now everybody in BFC don't jump up. I'm saying two types. There is prarabdha vasanas, which you are born with, and sanchita vasanas, which is your total. When a being comes on earth, he comes with his prarabdha vasanas. These vasanas he has to exhaust. This is common for humans as well as animals, for all beings. Humans are in touch with their sanchita vasanas, so they can increase them, decrease them, whatever. An animal can only reduce prarabdha vasanas. He is not in association with his sanchita vasanas. So he can't do anything. He just comes, he lives his predetermined life, he finishes those vasanas, and he's dead. And then from the sanchita, another lot will come. If it's a human, then he gets the chance again. If it's an animal, then again he sorts out another lot of his vasanas. Okay?
Yes, Jankiji, I didn't think about the sanchit part, and that's why I got confused that if they keep exhausting us. Got it. Thank you.
Then Satyam. Satyam means truth. Truth is a very big word. What is true, what is false is entirely dependent upon your own understanding. I have a boy who works in the house. He's an ardent Christian. And if I ever bring the topic up with him, he tells me that in our Bible, everything is written. It is so good you don't know. So once I made the mistake of saying in all religious texts, everything is written and it's all so good. So he is not happy. From then on, he wants to convince me that the Bible is better than all the others. And the others simply don't get it. The Bible gets it. Now my question to you is he telling me the truth? He is telling me his truth. And if he follows whatever he has understood, he's understood from his pastor that the Bible is the best and you must follow it. You must love the Lord Jesus Christ. You must be true. You must not tell lies. Today I learned a new thing. You can't see movies. His pastor has told him you have to do this and do that and whatever. Kanika, don't listen. Okay, he said, don't listen, don't see movies. So he's like done all this stuff. Now the question is this true what he's saying? If he genuinely does follow what his pastor has told him, you have to love everybody, you have to tell the truth, you have to do blah blah, don't see movies, don't drink, no smoking, so many things. I said, why no movies? He said, movies mein dikhate hain smoking and all. It is not good. The people who smoke do all see movies do bad things. I said, I thought heroes were not allowed to smoke or something. No, they were smoking. Now just think if this boy, young boy, does whatever his pastor tells and follows whatever he has been told in his religion, will this not benefit him? He won't be a drinker, he won't be a smoker, he'll tell the truth, he'll try to love everybody. So his truth is not false, it's just limited. Similarly, ours, we are not false, we are just limited. But if we follow that, we will find the truth. Hence, whatever our intellect tells us at any time for us is the truth. Okay, so that's it for today.